So, hey y'all, welcome back to my chaotic little corner of the internet where we unpack the absolute mess that is Port Charles. General Hospital spoilers for next week, the 13th to the 17th, are just wow. There is so much drama packed into these 5 days, I literally can't even process it all right now. But stick with me, grab a coffee or a sweet tea or whatever, and let's dive into what's finna happen next week. First off, we got to talk about the most piping hot tea right now, and it's all about Jordan. Yeah, Jordan, she is hurt wicked bad, like seriously bad. And I'm guessing the news about her suffering a traumatic brain injury, TBI, is going to drop really soon, and it's going to be devastating, like real talk. Her loved ones are about to face some downright massive tragedies. They are all just sitting there, pacing the halls at GH on pins and needles, waiting for her surgery to be over and hoping it's a success. But honestly, looking at the writing on the wall, after this whole ordeal, Jordan might actually die. Or if she does pull through, she is going to have a hella hard time getting her normal life and health back. Like, memory loss is totally on the table for her right now, which, let's be real, is the most classic, overused General Hospital storyline of all time. But I want to pause here for a sec because as a viewer, it's important to look at the educational side of this in real life. A traumatic brain injury isn't just, oh, oops, I forgot my husband's name, but my hair looks great. No. TBI happens when a sudden trauma causes damage to the brain, like a violent blow or jolt to the head. It literally disrupts the normal function of the brain. People with severe TBIs often have to relearn how to walk, how to swallow food, how to speak. Their whole personality can change because the frontal lobe gets damaged. They get impulsive, they get angry. It's a brutal, exhausting recovery process. So if GH just slaps a cute little gauze pad on Jordan's forehead and has her casually forget the last 2 years, I'm going to be so mad. But yeah, amnesia is likely happening. And then there's Stella. Poor Aunt Stella. She is going to be drowning in guilt, which is so sad to watch. Even though Curtis didn't cause the accident, he was literally in the car with Jordan when it happened. Stella is, of course, thanking her lucky stars that her nephew Curtis is totally fine. But that exact relief is what's making her feel so incredibly guilty while Jordan is hanging on by a thread. This is a textbook psychological phenomenon called survivor's guilt. It's actually a symptom of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. People experience survivor's guilt when they survive a life-threatening situation that others didn't, or when someone they love escapes unharmed while someone else gets severely injured. Stella's brain is basically punishing her for being happy that Curtis is alive. She is terrified for her former niece-in-law, especially because Stella just found out that Jordan and Curtis had rekindled their romance. Like, Stella knows how much Curtis loves her. If Jordan dies, Curtis is going to be destroyed, and Stella is terrified of that. It's just a wicked heavy burden for Stella to carry around. Meanwhile, let's shift gears to something a little brighter, maybe. Ethan is back on our screens. Yes, but I'm not totally sure what his actual endgame is right now. All the chatter on the message boards recently is saying he's back for revenge. But I don't know. I'm not buying the whole vengeance arc. I actually think this time around, Ethan is finna get a new romance. But who is the mystery girl gonna be? Is it... Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense. Maybe it's someone new? It's definitely a closely guarded secret right now. I just hope they don't pair him with someone boring. We need chemistry. People. Okay, moving on to the darker side of town. Britt. Britt is downright desperate right now, and she is turning to her brother Cassius for help. Well, yeah. Cassius is technically still her brother, even though he is not Nathan. To put it clearly, Cassius is dead-ass impersonating the late Nathan, which is so twisted on so many levels. And Britt, she's totally exploiting this. She's using this sick masquerade to blackmail Cassius into helping her. Cassius is not having it. He absolutely refuses to be pressured by her. From what I'm seeing, Britt is probably demanding that Cassius steal her treatment medication. But Cassius shuts her down flat. He tells her it's literally impossible. The only way Britt is getting those meds is if she goes straight to the devil himself. she has to work for Sidwell. Which brings up a whole ethical and educational nightmare. Stealing prescription medication, especially experimental or highly restricted treatment drugs, is a massive felony. In the medical field, the chain of custody for pharmaceuticals is strictly monitored. If a doctor or someone posing as a doctor like Cassius bypasses pharmacy protocols to steal meds, it compromises the entire medical system. It's not just a cute little soap opera prank. It's a federal crime that leads to losing your medical license and doing hard time. But this is Port Charles, so felonies are basically just Tuesday afternoon hobbies for these people. Anyway, Britt goes to Sidwell. But Sidwell straight up refuses to even see her. I'm guessing Sidwell already knows the truth. He knows Britt is somehow connected to Marco's death. And it makes perfect sense, right? Because Marco was the one who stole the medication for Britt in the first place. And that is exactly why Cullum murdered him. Cullum killed Marco over Britt's meds. Sidwell is probably going to look Britt dead in the eye and tell her that his son Marco is dead. And therefore, he has zero use for Britt anymore. And if we know Sidwell, when he says he has no use for you, it means he wants you in a body bag. Sidwell wants Britt dead to pay for Marco's life. An eye for an eye, you know? It's giving major mob boss energy. And I am terrified for Britt, even though she kind of brought this on herself. She played with fire and now she's, well, you know. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about Carly and Valentine. They are in an absolute panic next week. They are scrambling, rushing off somewhere together. I bet my bottom dollar they just got the horrible news about Charlotte and Danny's accident. Those crazy teenagers. But wait, here is where my brain starts going into overdrive. Is Charlotte and Danny's crash connected to Jordan's crash? Like, what if? What if Charlotte and Danny were out there joyriding and they are the reason Jordan's car lost control? If that's true, the fallout is going to be biblical, and it brings up a really important educational point about teenage psychology and driving. Why do teenagers make such reckless decisions behind the wheel? It all comes down to brain development. The prefrontal cortex of the human brain, which is the part responsible for logical thinking, impulse control, and understanding long-term consequences, does not fully develop until a person is in their mid-20s. So when you put teenagers like Charlotte and Danny in a high-stress or distracting situation in a 2-ton metal machine, their brains literally prioritize thrill-seeking over safety. They don't process risk the way adults do. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for US teens. It's a terrifying reality. And if these kids cause Jordan severe brain injury, Carly and Valentine are going to have to move mountains to keep them out of prison. Like, the guilt is going to eat those kids alive if they don't end up in Pentonville. I'll be shocked. And finally, we have Ava. Ava is backed into a corner and she is begging Sidwell for a favor. Or honestly, she's probably just flat out pleading with him. Ava has caught wind of Sidwell's plans and she is terrified because she knows Sidwell is gearing up to attack Sonny. Now, let's be real. Ava does not give a single rip whether Sonny Corinthos lives or dies. In fact, she'd probably throw a party if Sonny kicked the bucket. But there's a massive complication. Her daughter, Avery. Avery lives with Sonny. Ava is begging Sidwell, pleading with him not to harm a single hair on Avery's head during his crossfire. But Sidwell, he's cold as ice. He makes no promises. He basically tells Ava that he can't guarantee anything because when you launch a surprise ambush on a mob boss like Sonny, chaos reigns. Bullets don't have names on them. Sidwell doesn't know what's going to happen when the shooting starts. This whole situation with Avery is a classic example of adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. It's an educational concept in psychology that looks at the trauma children endure when they grow up in violent, unstable, or abusive environments. Growing up in a mob family, literally being in the crossfire of mafia shootouts, creates toxic stress in a child's developing brain. It alters their nervous system, making them hypervigilant and prone to anxiety, depression, and behavioral issues later in life. Avery is just a little girl and she is constantly being used as a pawn or placed in the line of fire because of her parents' toxic choices. Ava knows this, which is why her maternal instinct is screaming right now. She knows that even if Avery isn't physically shot, the psychological trauma of surviving a hit squad attacking her home is going to scar that child forever. I can't with these parents sometimes. Like, get your kid out of the mob house, Ava. It's not that hard, but whatever. It's a soap opera. Nobody ever does the logical thing. So, yeah, that's the rundown for next week. It's going to be a bumpy ride. From Jordan fighting for her life with a horrific brain injury, to Stella's crippling survivor's guilt, to Ethan's mysterious return. Britt swimming with sharks like Sidwell and Cassius, the teenagers possibly ruining multiple lives with one bad driving decision, and Ava desperately trying to shield her kid from a mafia bloodbath. I don't know how I'm going to survive watching all of this. My anxiety is already through the roof just thinking about it, but you know I'll be glued to my TV, shouting at the screen like a crazy person. Let me know what you'll think is going to happen. Do you think Jordan is going to make it? Is Britt actually going to get clipped by Sidwell? Drop your theories, because I need to talk about this mess. Okay, I'm out for now. Catch y'all later.